And we are back. Black and a Half, episode number 225.
We are back, 225.
Guys, this is not a 7 questions episode. This is not a movie review. This is an honest to God, fully black and fully half, Black and a Half episode. Samantha Run returns to be with me in my Blair, sort of, yes. As you'll discover.
I love the setup.
Yeah. It's been a while. It's been, she just informed me it's been like over 2 years.
I think it has. Yeah.
Which is crushing now to hear that. But we are back and we discuss the whys in this episode and the hows and some processes of things that culminated to get us back here.
Oh yeah.
And then we do have a plan. We do have a weekly scheduled meeting now.
Yeah.
We should be able to hit. So expect more. It doesn't end the 7 questions episodes or the reviews. Those may just be separately done because sometimes I can't get these interviews at our allotted time slot. But for me, I've always wanted the channel and whatnot to have a lot of different things happening. So I'm excited that this will go and that people then when writers or directors look at our website, they're not like, there's nothing has gone on. So why would I meet with them?
Immediately, like we don't even need to say anything. If you're watching it, you can see there's stuff going on.
Yeah. 2012, this started. The original first episode of Black and a Half was 2012. So we are now into its second decade.
That's wow.
Right? Does that count as a second decade?
Sure.
In the 10s and now in the 20s. And so 13 years and officially back. I've always said the last time I dropped an episode was so that I could go to a comedy show and say, this is the longest running comedy podcast in Seattle. Probably. So now I can say it again.
Yeah.
It's still running because we just dropped one.
That's awesome. Yeah, I should have put in some more jokes. It would have been a little inappropriate this time, but
I think we're humorous in our own way.
You know,
at times.
That's how you get the material anyway.
Is it a comedy podcast? I don't know what I am anymore, but I think
that's comedy.
Yeah. We're going to be discovering that as you'll hear about us, who we are, what we're going to become. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. We're back. It was a fun time. I had a great time talking to you in this episode, Samantha.
I did too. Yeah, I did too. And I hope y'all had a great time. Have a great time listening.
Yes. And then when you have the good time, you can subscribe on whichever channel you're watching this, just watching or listening.
And they could leave like comments and stuff.
You can.
Because I love to know. I really love to know like what was a favorite part.
I need a little dopamine hit every time there's a comment. I get a little dopamine, which helps me be productive. So
science.
I depend on everyone to help me with my dopamine. And
I'd really like to get to the point where, once a year we could like cross stitch the most lovable or hilarious comment. Because, you've taken up cross stitching as a hobby now. Right?
Cross stitching?
Multi-talented.
Yeah. I was suddenly like, oh, I could make a mug out of that. I could put our favorite. Let me put your favorite quote on a mug.
I love that idea. And this is what we think about the podcast.
Love you to the moon.
I love you to the moon and back.
Oh, that's sweet.
And it's sweet. And now isn't that special?
Was that a gift from your daughter?
A gift. Yeah. Aw, yes.
How is she? Does she have a job already?
A gift to myself. She does have a job.
How'd she buy that? Jeez.
Her job is what is it? Productivity manager or something. Like, my kid believes in me so much. She makes sure that I'm never out of work. She's always giving me something to do.
Yeah. That's funny.
Little sweetie. Little rascal.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we're back, and we'll have more coming out. So be sure to subscribe and enjoy the podcast. I'm Silas Lindenstein.
I'm Samantha Wren.
And this is Black and a Half. As we say, we are back.
We are back.
We always say that. It always says we always say we are back, and we are back. But this time it has extra. I think extra to it. Right?
Yeah,
because we are actually back.
I don't know if anybody was waiting for us to get back, other than us.
I think our, dare I say, millions of fans. We're in anticipation. And
actually, you're right. In fact, our billions, and nobody will fact check this. That is a thing of the past.
Fact checking is gone.
Our billions of fans, please let us know.
Yeah, blow up the blue ski. I don't know. I guess we need a blue. Wait, hold on. Blue. I say that wrong. I said that wrong.
I just hear. Oh, because blue sky. Is that what it is?
Is it blue sky?
I don't know. But just the fact that you said blow up, I was like, no. Millions of fans. We are not blowing up things.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So if people are watching video, they see they can see I got this is my new setup. I've got my podcast video den is nearly completed. I need to come up with whether it's a lair, a den, a dungeon, what it's called.
Blair. Could be a Blair.
A black lair.
Yeah.
I like that. That might do better than a blurred. It's a Blair. It's a blurred Blair. I like that. This is my Blair. I'm going to get a sign. I'll say Blair on there.
I love it.
And there is room, Samantha, just so you know, in the future, the two of us can record in here.
Okay.
So if we can arrange between because we have 4 children between the two of us, right? I mean, technically. We're not, just to clarify,
right,
not our children.
We said between, not among. I don't know what's the.
Yeah.
With the right.
One of my favorite things in real estate is when somebody is like 20 years into real estate and somebody like just started like a year ago, and they'll say, and so they get to say, between me and my partner Jim, we have 21 years of experience.
Right. Right.
Add it together.
Although when you're working on a team, and if they're really in good contact, it's like a favorite, but a good favorite thing.
We should just add in how long you've podcasted and how long I've podcasted. And so between us, we have 30 years of experience.
Right, exactly. Between us, it'd be a very long time if we use that. Tangent, which may come in later in the podcast or maybe a different episode, but I was thinking a lot about, how it's like for that song, like, or verse that for everything there's a season, for every time there's a season.
Yeah.
And all that. And I was thinking about like subtracting things in life to make it simpler. We talked about this a little bit, but like as I was driving earlier today, I was like, oh wait, but like there's also adding and multiplication and division. And, if you think about things mathematically and pause for a minute and think about,
so for every season you multiply, I mean, and multiply.
Well, I suppose for the childbearing that wasn't between us.
Yeah.
But no, but I guess I was thinking about, other ways to look at our lives, and sometimes stepping back and looking at it, like, let's look at it mathematically. Like right now, do I need to be subtracting something, adding something, dividing something, multiplying, or exponentially, for our billions of followers, that exponential growth, this could be the season for that, of course.
Change. Seasons of change. I do like, so listeners, all of you, one thing Samantha and I talked about in bringing back Black and a Half is so that it's not necessarily just entertainment, but edutainment. I don't know, educational entertainment. That's a whole thing. That's a whole realm out there. But also,
who knew some blurs would care about that?
Blurs care about everything.
Yeah.
Look, I think me and my own comedy life, I've always wanted my jokes to mean more than the joke, that it did have some weight behind it, that I did say stuff with meaning, which is partly why I always wanted to do like storytelling comedy or something. I think because I wanted to tell stories and make that funny. And of course, I have throwaway jokes that don't actually have a meaning behind them. Besides, I thought that was, funny, or how I just look at things. But I said this. What I want to do more with our voices, if we are influencers of some sort, right? That's a naughty word now, but if we are degree,
AI influencers making more than humans. Another.
That doesn't take a lot, right? When and this kind of talks about something I wanted to we're going to get into. One of the reasons I called Samantha, and by called I mean text, because that's what you do,
right? Yeah. And then I called.
Yeah, I said call.
Yeah,
because you can't just call somebody.
No, it's
you
true.
have to text them first.
You have to be like, I think the only people I really call without texting first, it's my mom and my sister. And sometimes I still text first to make sure they're not busy. But it's pretty rare to just call somebody out of the blue.
So in a recent, I had a couple losses in the last month here, the last couple weeks of losses of a friend and old friend. And, people have heard the name Jim Kilner, the hypnotist Jim Kilner, who passed away December 26th. And Jim was a good friend. And one of the things he really worked on was making sure people were happy. Like one of his goals as a hypnotist was to bring happiness to people. Unless that involved pineapple on pizza, then he was not an advocate of it, but he tried to fix that. Huh?
You're pro pineapple on pizza?
You know what? I am in particular pro pineapple with jalapenos on pizza.
Yeah.
Like that's what I like. I'm not anti. I'm not like anti. I'm not just going to order.
I couldn't remember where you like fell on it.
I think the spicy sweet thing is good. I just don't like. I probably wouldn't order just a pineapple pizza like my child does. Yeah. But
I see. I like it with the as well.
But I will say that Jim's passing is a motivation for me to want to do the things that make me happy, and one of which is, it's twofold here. One, I'm happy talking to Samantha Rund.
Aww.
When I get to talk to her, I'm always happy.
Thank you.
Two, you're
such a good friend. I keep interrupting.
Two, I like to podcast. I love podcasting, and the chance to do this with you would bring me joy. To keep doing this, and so that, and I want to help people. That's why I got into real estate. That's why I got into it for the money, but. Side note of helping people.
Money a lot of different ways.
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I could do a lot of things. I do find joy in helping people find homes or buy, sell or whatever to help ease, to make their life less stressful. I like it.
Yeah. It's a job and people do jobs to make money, but you could also be passionate about your job too.
Well, in stand-up comedy, I didn't get into it. I got into it partly because it was an outlet that I could do with a child when I had a child that didn't take 6 weeks away. So in my custody arrangement, I was fortunate to be able to have time to go and do that on my off weeks. So it was partly an outlet. But when I did think about it later, and I do, as a storyteller, theater artist, I think bringing joy is something that I've always liked doing.
Yeah.
And then I want to lift people up. I would I listen to a lot of podcasts about, I think it's surprising from people who know me as pretty snarky, and some people would describe me as prickly, Gretchen's family. But I do actually want people to find happiness. And I am actually somewhat of a positive person. I know, and that surprises people, but I do like, I listen to a bit of optimism. Simon Sinek, that's one of my favorites right now. I've always loved Simon Sinek. I will listen to the Happiness Project. I listen to all these things about trying to make myself, to try and help with happiness or bettering myself as a person. And occasionally on Facebook, I will say things and try to inspire or a little bit. But I don't think I even thought about doing it on this platform as much. And I think I had the same negativity I've always had with, in this sense of why I wasn't a movie reviewer for 10 years, or 20 years. I wanted to be a movie reviewer for so long, but I always thought, well, why listen to me over anyone else? And I think, and I understand podcasting has taught me that you build a fan base, and stand-up has taught me you build a fan base. People who like you, they'll trust your opinion. And so maybe they'll trust, if they'll trust me to go see a movie, let alone trust me with some financial decisions, maybe they'll trust me when I tell them, you know what, I've looked this up and I've researched, and this is a matter of fact, this is a factual way how to be a little happier as a person.
Yeah. Okay. You said a lot of things that I'm like, oh, weeping. I'm not actually weeping, but trying not to at some points. But one thing you said at the beginning too was about like how you want to bring like more joy to people as well. That was Jim's, but as well as like you want to help people also feel joy and like having meaning in education and things like that. It just kind of got me thinking about like, oh, what was it in my jokes, or what is it something that I always want people to feel? And I think this last year, especially, I mean, really ever since I had my daughter. So for the last couple of years, it's been such a lesson in like learning to live with things that are like getting comfortable with what's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because most people probably would describe me as very much an optimist, very much like a little bit that balance to what you were saying, where you are really kind and you care about people and you are optimistic, but people might not necessarily know that about you immediately with some of your jokes and things. Is that right?
Yeah. I am kind. I'm not nice.
Oh, you know,
not always nice, but I'm kind.
I don't care for the word nice.
Yeah.
Anymore. I mean, because it seems to me to be I'm going to be a little all over the place because you said so much that I'm like absorbing it and responding to it at the same time. And now blah, blah, blah words, so many words. Nice to me seems more like a social construct thing than actually being kind. And I've definitely met some nice people who were really just secret jerks. So,
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just semantics.
I don't think it's semantics. I mean, I think there is I've read clear descriptions between nice and kind, and it's not just semantics. Like,
I guess what I mean is like that. Even okay, so we have like the dictionary or whatever the agreed upon meaning is of a word. However, how that applies to somebody in their own association with the word, they might associate it in a different way than what is actually in the dictionary definition, which is one kind of semantics. Although, yes, this is why fact checking is important. to that.
I tell my daughter all the time to be kind. Yeah,
I do think, being kind is so important.
Is that kind? Is that the kind choice? I don't say is that the nice choice.
And the kind choice is not always the nice choice, because the kind choice, sometimes it hurts, but it's the right thing to do. And it's kind of like, resetting a broken bone or something or whatever. Like, you have to have that initial painful thing, but then the healing can occur.
Yeah.
Instead of what might seem nice, like do the easier thing first, but that's actually not ultimately the nicest or the kind thing.
Totally agree. I said a lot in the beginning, but I felt like I had a lot to say to you.
Oh, yeah. And I loved hearing it. this is me a little bit laughing at myself of like, oh boy, you said everything so succinctly. And I'm like, trying to address all of the things, which you didn't ask me to. I will say I'm also super excited. I was so happy to hear from you. I love it when we get to talk. I love it when we get to podcast. And I think I've also had this desire for a very long time, even when I was teaching, like the first time I taught something theater related. I don't know why I put in quotes. It was a camp. I was like a camp counselor, just wasn't my specific class. I always wanted it to be more than just learn these lines. I wanted it to give people a real sense of confidence and self-love and power within their own bodies.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was until, I don't know how recently, that I was kind of realizing oh, I think that's because once I started acting and doing, these creative things, it gave me a break from my desire to be perfect and my own sort of anxious perfectionist tendencies to have this sort of freedom and relaxation in my body. Mm-hmm. And I really want other people to feel just comfortable in their body and at home in their body and comfortable with expressing their vulnerability, comfortable with just the kind of emotional messiness of life, but that there's these emotional difficulties that happen in life, but it doesn't mean that they're bad. There's a wise way to do it and there's a destructive way to go through it.
Right.
And if you're not comfortable with that uncomfortability, you're just cutting off so much of yourself and your connection to other people. That makes sense. So
it does. And I mentioned happiness, but then I think underneath happiness there's friendships, right? There's de-stressing, there's parenting, I guess. There's so many different ways and things that you can look at how to get there that we all need to improve on. And I know, we want to. I think we want to. Not everybody wants to improve, I've learned, in so many different things. However, I don't think they would listen to this show anyway, to be honest, if they weren't the type of people who generally are thoughtful. I think we have a lot of thoughtful listeners.
I would think so.
And anyway, I want to bring that as part of the show. That was my goal, and that's why I called Samantha and said, let's get the band back together. Let's do this.
I love it.
We found a time that would work. And I was telling Samantha, since the last time I spoke in a episode like this kind of thing, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. It's not actually confirmed. And I've learned, I definitely was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. So I have that. And I know I'm on Prozac, a small dosage, but it's just it's enough to cut the edge off of a lot of that. So I'm way more functioning now, but then my ADHD is a little higher, the symptoms or whatever it is that I have there. And one of the things I have is it's called object permanence. I couldn't remember when I was talking to you the other day. It's called object permanence, meaning when there's an object. So I have on my phone, I'll never forget, but I buy a lot of things at the store again, because I don't know that I didn't know I had the snake for the plumbing, for a toilet.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know. I came home and I went to put it away, the one I bought, and I had one, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot so much. I thought I didn't even remember to look that it happened. And it's this out of sight, out of mind thing that you don't remember or don't recall things, or you don't you don't miss them. And the unfortunate part is that that happens with people too. And that's not just, it's ADHD people. This happens. If they have, most of them have object permanence, but most of them do. Some don't, but it's very common with people. I was telling Samantha, like, my mom, my dad, I just sometimes forget about them. It doesn't mean I don't love them. And if I think of them, I go, oh yeah, or I see something that reminds me, I got to call. But like, if people are not in my immediate everyday life a lot, they slip out. Like they're just not, they go into a file folder they're not on my desktop anymore. They move to a file folder, and sometimes I have to search. My other friend who died from high school, I was like, oh, I started talking about him like he was in the class below me. And I realized he was older than me. I didn't realize until I saw something about his age, and I was like, that's impossible. He could have been older than me. And then I was like, wait a second. Oh, he wasn't there in that time, so he must have been old. Like, I forgot that he was older than me. Because I hadn't really spent I thought about him when we communicated. Mm-hmm. Or that's what I love about Facebook. Facebook allows people to exist in my head.
Oh my gosh.
It reminds me. I mean, so if you don't post, I forget people exist.
Yeah, I'm not the best about posting. And I would kind of rather get off of Facebook. But yeah, there's too many friends that I want to see on it. I'm too invested in it, even though I'm not doing stuff on it that much. But
it reminds me the problem is that I think I also have seen people when I haven't, because some people came to my Christmas Eve thing that I thought I had talked to. And I thought I had seen them in the last year, and I hadn't seen them, I guess, since my last party a year before.
And I was like, so much to remember.
But I knew everything that's going on with them.
Oh, well.
From Facebook, I knew everything. We didn't really have anything to catch up on.
That's amazing.
Well, they post about what's going on.
That's why you have to catch up with me. I post nothing on there.
I know. I mean, that is a key. Like, what's going on?
That's so funny. Oh, wow.
So